Hey friends, and welcome back to another Legion Tower Defense 2 video. This is part of a video series I'm doing where I get the top game with every single tier 1 unit. Today's video is the Chained Fist edition. I also break down the waves and decisions made in the game, which can be useful for both new players and veterans alike. The plan is simple: grab a friend, so I don't int anybody on the ladder, and go Fiesta. Today I have my friend Fluffy Stuff, who may or may not be fun to int, but I'll try my best not to. I had already done Bones at this point, so I had to go for the Chained Fist. I kept the Bones for a Fire Archer in case I needed a cheap answer for an early wave. That, and I can always reroll into something really cool for a tank mage. My wave 12 and 16 was looking a little rough, so I got the Flower. The Skeleton was in case I wanted to shift into an Avenger, and the Gate was in case I really scaled hard and I could just spam those with Protector and hold anything. Looking at it now while editing, I'm pretty sure I chose wrong. I probably should have gone for the Chained Fist, Howler, Infiltrator, Trinity Archer, Sand Badger, and Avenger. It's a more balanced roll, and I could have had a nice split for the Trinity Archer. Okay, wave 1, I just spam some Chained Fists. I have no clue how many to go, but at this point in the challenge, I would get a snail basically every single game, so I rebuilt a bit and got my 4 workers. So I got skipped, and actually just easily held with so many units left. Maybe I should have gone 1 or 2 less. Wave 2, I was not confident that I would be able to hold any sort of sand. The person sending it to me was probably at 5 workers and could easily get a 40 off, and I would probably leak 80% or more. I just decided to go with the Fire Archer and hope that the send was big enough that I get a small leak. Yeah, I got skipped again. But Fire Archer is really strong every wave until 6, but very strong on 3 and 4, so I said, to hell with it and push an extra worker. Wave 3, I drop another Fire Archer. This is why I wanted to keep Bones in the roll, because Fire Archer is very strong, especially if you split tank it, but it's cheap enough that I was able to push a worker and still get it. Oh my god, I don't even know at this point. I got skipped again. The worker push last wave was probably fine, but the one that I do here was definitely greedy. If he skips sending any longer, he will starve himself out of the game, so it's probably coming on wave 4. But I was possibly tilted and believed in my Fire Archers, so I pushed anyway. Wave 4, I just add a couple of Bem Warriors and have to believe that my Fire Archers will split perfectly. I was a little nervous about a Dino Send, which would probably destroy an Archer if it tanked it, so I put a Bem Warrior a little bit closer than I would like. The wave starts, and finally the Send comes with it. It's a big 120 Send, but I really don't think it's the best you could have sent. My splits were alright. The left side Archer could definitely tank more, and I probably didn't want the Cannoneer on my right Archer. Sure, the Cannoneer is impact versus the Swift Fire Archer, but it's still so strong. I don't know, what do you guys think? Is it better this way or worse? I did end up leaking a respectable 50%, which is actually really nice considering I pushed 2 workers to a no send. Fluffy tried to do me a solid by not sending the guy, sending it to me on wave 3 to keep the wave shorter and my enemy lower workers. He then full sent Teal on wave 4 and got a 50% leak. It was the same as me, but Teal starved me for 4 waves and probably isn't Fiesta, so I definitely come out on top. Wave 5 and I go a bit heavy on the workers. I go all the way to 9 and just added a Chained Fist. I figured he would try to get back in the game by incoming me a couple of waves, but I was wrong and got skipped again. Depending on how long he starves me, the 9 workers I had would be super worth. If he waits too long, I'll have made the money back I spent on workers plus some. My Fire Archer doesn't have enough support damage for my other units and dies to the boss, and the leak was a little bit bigger than I would like here to a no send, but still pretty okay. I used my reroll on wave 5, which is a bit early, especially with the units that I took. I don't know what I was doing, honestly. I have 3 expensive tier 6 units and a ton of Swift now. But hey, at least Tank Mage and Dancer are really good together. Wave 6, and I drop a Skeleton to shift for a Dancer in case they don't go here, and drop another Fire Archer in case they do. They aren't splitting very well, and don't do much damage in wave 7, so I really do hope they go here. Well, they skipped again. I must have done something to my friend Kupo, who's Teal in this game. I end up easy holding though, and probably would have pro Fiesta'd if they had come here, so it was definitely a good decision. Wave 7, and I have to decide between the Dancer and Avenger. I don't have any real tanks yet, or a Dank Mage, so the Dancer isn't the best, but it's still pretty good on wave 7 to 9, and 11 to 12. Avenger is good here, but weak on wave 8, and 11, and 12. So I decided to go Dancer in case he starved me any longer. The Send comes, and is perfect into my units. I am mostly fortified, so the Brute, Cannoneer, and Robo do really well here. The Avenger would have done way better versus all of these impact sends, and doesn't really rely so much on support units. Ah well, I still got a 13 workers and prep some units for a wave 9 send. He sent me twice in 7 waves, so who knows when my next one will be. No send comes into me on wave 8, and Fluffy gets a big resend. I full hold and look over at his lane, and he holds with a 0 HP Tempest left. What a beast. Wave 9, and I go for a final form Oathbreaker in case he wants to come here. I have enough income at this point where I can just sell a few things and get the big Dancer for wave 10. That and Fluffy is really good on wave 10, so I figured a small leak would be fine. No send comes, and I'm definitely getting sent on that wave 10. I sell the Fire Archer for the Dancer, And at this point in the game, it's not splitting at all, and is doing pretty small damage, so I figured keeping those chained fists to stall even for a second for my dancer to make more clones was the play. We should be fine though, as my ally got sent last wave and is very good here. Wait a second, what is my boy doing? He's got his canopy on the non-upgraded Tempest, and could have just gone Lioness with 2 stacks where his alpha is, and he got a Disciple buffing one of his Tempests. At least I'm not the only baked one in this game. Okay, but the send comes, and it's a big one. I snipe one of the brutes right away and start to focus the ogre and the other brute because of the AoE from the Oathbreaker. I do kill all the sends and get the boss to just about half HP. Not too bad of a leak, especially since I had already upgraded the dancer for 11 and 12, and I could just drop the Sovereign on wave 13. Wave 11, and I send a cheeky Hermit for his AoE and some Dragon Turtles for his possible Orchids, and 2 Robos for fun. He was starting to get way too high on the power score, and I wanted to try and take him down a peg. I upgraded Dank Mage and take Cred with almost the perfect amount of gold left over. I get no send and was feeling greedy and actually pushed 1 worker. There's no way they come 12 into Fluffy's Levi's and Ward combo or my Dank Mage Dancer combo, even though Cred's in the game and we'll probably just have way too much money for wave 13, right? But my send works pretty well and I get him a nice 73% leak. Wave 12 comes and I just have so much money. I have enough to drop the full flower here in case I do go, enough to full Cred as well, and I can just straight up buy the Avenger on wave 13 if needed. I figure the guy I'm sitting into thinks he's safe here and will try to get a nice Cred for himself, so I full resent. We get skipped again, which is pretty much the theme of this game, and I do leak my guy a bit. It's hard to tell if this is worth it or not. I'm trying to take my guy out of the game, but at the same time giving them a ton of time for their Mythium to get really high. However, both Fluffy and I get 2 full Creds off, so I was confident that we were still going to do fine on 13, even if they did come. Wave 13 is here, and I actually decide to go for the Phoenix instead of the Avenger. I think it's better on this wave with no buffs than the Avenger, and they definitely have to go here as my ally was starving teal the entire time. I send what I can since I had been sending on wave 11 and 12, and really needed to hold here myself as I had the extra money from the leaks and the income. Everyone sends here, and my goodness, look at this Phoenix split. It's absolutely perfect, and I just full hold. Thankfully so does Fluffy, and teal leaks almost the entire wave. Unfortunately, my guy dropped at a Millennium and barely holds. We do get a good bit of king damage though, and since we both held, wait, what? So I just noticed this, but our enemies might be baked too. Fluffy didn't get a send here, and I probably should have tried to overbuild a bit more than I was and guarantee to cover any leaks Fluffy might have in 14, but I'm being greedy as I'm going for that top game, and I just full pushed everything. Wave 14, and the send is huge into Fluffy. Hopefully I hold well enough to full cover, or make it very low king damage. Also, friends, you gotta stop sending Robos into a Phoenix. This happened in my last video too. The Phoenix killed everything attacking it, and normally we get back to full mana and do way less damage. However, with the Robo, it keeps the Phoenix at 0 mana and full damage while never being able to kill it. I full hold and cover most of Fluffy's small leak. Wave 15, and I honestly don't know what the hell I was doing for most of this game. I knew he wanted to go wave 16 into them, so I pushed really hard to leak my guy. I also then added some flowers expecting a wave 16 send from everybody. They end up full resending me Dragon Turtles, and I forgot to protect my Phoenix, so that dies, and the rest of my units aren't great on the wave, so I do end up leaking a bit and giving a shutdown. Maybe it was good though, as both Fluffy and I have an incredible amount of workers, and this just gives us more time for more Mythium. Wave 16, and I just add more flowers and some skeletons. I sent a bunch of imps in case he tries to spam some antlers, and they help tank the mask AoE damage pretty well. Pack more Hermit for the AoE, and it's just a classic send of 16. A Neither in case he spams some Orchids, and 2 Dragon Turtles to hopefully eat those boosted Orchids damage. Sends come from everyone, and I unfortunately killed my Phoenix again. It's okay, it was beyond pro on wave 13 and 14, which basically decided the game. I still hold though, but unfortunately they did not. Poor Kupo did end up starving himself out of the game, and since I pushed to almost every no send and Fluffy covered all of my leaks, they got very little out of the starve. But that's it for me, friends. I hope you enjoyed it or even learned something. I've got one more of these coming out next Tuesday, but not sure what Legion content I want to do after. I'm sure I'll find something fun though.
I got the shivers whenever